Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be all about my makeup do's and don'ts, and I don't want to offend anybody. These are just my personal preferences and what I've learned and found out along the way on my makeup journey. So let me know if you like it down in the comments below and give it a big thumbs up if you do. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to see my makeup do's and don'ts, then keep watching. First, on my do side, I'm going to apply some primer, and I'm going to use the Benefit Professional. I am guilty of not always using primers. To be honest, I don't find I always need to, but I do find that it looks a lot better and it wears a lot longer as well if I do wear one. So I'm just going to use this with my finger, mainly on the areas where I get more pores, which is around my nose and my cheek area. Now I'm quickly going to apply my do's and don'ts foundations to each side, and I'm going to speed this up a little bit. One big main makeup don't is using the wrong foundation shade, and it's not just using the wrong foundation shade, it's using the wrong undertone to the foundation as well. I personally have got a yellow undertone to my skin, so that's the sort of shade that I look for when I choose a foundation. And these are the two foundations that I've used, very different in tone. This is the shade that I've used on the don't side, which is very pink based and quite cool in tone. It's emphasised my redness, and it's also made this side of my face look quite pink when really it's not. This is the foundation shade that I've used for the do side, which is a lot more yellow in undertone, and it's counteracted all my redness, which isn't showing at all now, and it's covered everything and evened everything out. When it comes to applying foundation, I personally don't think there's a right or wrong way. You can use a sponge, you can use a brush, you can use your fingers, it's totally up to you. One thing that I would say is to make sure that you really blend out your foundation when you apply it. So on this side you can see that I've just stopped along the jawline, so I've got a really big foundation line and you can see where it stops, which is not a great look at all. Whereas on this side I blended it down onto my neck and blended it so you can't see where it starts or finishes. Moving on to concealer now, and I'm going to use the same concealer for each side. And then I'm just going to set the do side with some pressed powder. There's no written rule, of course, when it comes to setting your foundation with some pressed powder. I personally don't always do it because I've got quite dry skin. However, I do find that my concealer does last a lot longer. If you do set your foundation with even just a little bit of loose powder, it is a lot easier to blend the powder products we're going to apply next, like bronzers and blushes, over the top instead of trying to apply them powders over a wet foundation, which makes them quite blotchy. Moving on to a little bit of contour, I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit, and I'm just taking that on a Real Techniques contour brush. So as you can see on this side, I've gone quite heavy with the contour, and if you like your contour heavy, that's totally fine. But with this one, I've also brought it down a lot further than it needs to be as well. With the contour, we're trying to create shadow, so it shouldn't be really very noticeable. And we only want to exaggerate this cheekbone area here and then blending it out so it's really seamless. I've also not applied any contour anywhere else on this side of the face, so it does look a little bit unbalanced and it looks just like a streak of brown, to be honest. On this side I've used the exact same shade, but I've concentrated it in a smaller area, and I've blended it out a little bit more as well and used a lighter hand. Also blended it around other areas of the face so it looks a little bit more balanced. And if I look straight into the camera now, you can see here looks a lot more lifted, whereas here where I've blended it down too far, it sort of drags that area down. Moving on to bronzer, and I'm going to use some of MAC's Give Me Sun. I will admit that I do love my bronzer and I do apply a lot of it, which I think is fine as long as you apply it in the right place. And here you can see I've applied it all over my cheek area from my contour up onto my cheeks, and it just looks really heavy and blotchy. So really I've applied it to too much of a bigger area and I haven't placed it anywhere else to balance it out, and it just looks like a big brown splodge basically. So on this side it looks a lot more natural. I've applied it in a 3 shape, which I always do when I apply my bronzer. I like to apply it around the tops of my forehead, down onto my cheeks and around my jawline, anywhere that the sun would naturally hit. I haven't gone as high as my cheekbone area and I haven't applied it onto the apples of my cheeks either. I just think it looks a lot more natural this way and nice and sun-kissed. Okay, moving on to blush. I'm going to use this blush by L'Oreal and it's in the shade Sandalwood Pink. So on the do side, all I've done is smiled, blended a little bit onto the apples of my cheeks and then blended it back into the bronzer, so it's all seamlessly blended out and looks really natural. On the do side you can see that everything just looks really seamless and blended naturally. You can see the contour, you can see the bronzer and you can see the blush, but you can't see where it starts, ends and finishes. It all just blends naturally together. Whereas this side, because it's all just been put in one area, it just looks a little bit of a mess. It looks really heavy and it doesn't look balanced at all. Moving on to highlight, which you guys know is my favourite part, I'm going to use the Becca Champagne Pot. So on the do side, to be fair, I did apply quite a bit, but I've kept it really high on top of the cheekbones and then only blended a small amount onto the cheek area, so when I smile it just catches the light and looks really natural and glowy. On this side you can see I applied too much and in the wrong areas. Really you want the most product to be right high on the top of the cheekbones and then you can blend some down onto the apples of the cheeks just to make them pop a little bit. So on this side we've got a really nice natural pop and glow, whereas this side is just popping for all the wrong reasons. Now I'm going to fill in each brow and I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So I've quickly filled in my brows, and it's not just the overdrawing and making them look a little bit too big, it's also the neglecting of the brows maybe a little bit. On the don't side you can see I just filled them in with a little bit of brow powder and it was also a little bit too light for me really. You can see I didn't brush the hairs through at all, so they haven't really gone into a shape and they don't look defined and they don't frame my face at all. On this side I used a pencil which helped me get them really defined, and I also used a pencil which was a little bit darker than my natural hair colour as well. And you can see when I look straight into the camera that this side my face looks a lot more defined and it also looks a lot more lifted that now my brow is filled in. Now moving on to eyes, I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. I'm only going to use a couple of shades just to make it a lot less complicated. I'm going to use like a nice brown and a gold just to create a slight spooky eye. So you can see with this side that I really took my time with it. I applied little bits at a time and then really blended it out as I went along. I also applied some of the darker shadow onto the outer corner, so it was really blended with the gold, and the gold on this inner corner really makes the eyes pop as well. On this side you can see that we had a massive disaster really. I applied way too much at a time and I haven't really taken my time to blend it out. I've also applied the gold shadow all over the lid and not blended it into the darker shadow, and it just looks pretty messy and it doesn't really do anything for my eye shape either. I'm just going to line the eyes with some gel liner, and I'm using the Maybelline Black Gel Liner on the Zoeva Fine Liner brush. On this side you can see that I've created a really fine wing, and I've lined right from the inner corner right to the outer corner, which really enhances my eye shape, gives it a little bit more of a cat eye effect. And with this eye I have lined from the very inner corner, but I haven't gone all the way to the very outer edge, so the eyeshadow is blending down past it, which doesn't look very neat. And I could have extended the line a little bit more to where the eye actually ends. This will create the elongated shape, and the wing isn't the neatest, which I know comes with practice. It could be a little bit thinner and more defined, and it doesn't really go into a tip either at the moment. Now let's apply some mascara, and I'm using the Maybelline The Falsies. Now with the mascara you can see that this side has gone really clumpy, and that's because as I've applied it I've swept it outwards and sideways, whereas this one looks more fanned out because I've brushed upwards and I've gone with the way that the lashes are naturally going. Okay, let's apply some eyeliner. I'm just using this black coal from Avon, and I'm going to apply some of that along the lower lash line. So when you're applying your eyeliner to the bottom lash line, the one thing you want to avoid is how thick you're drawing the line. The thickness of the liner on the bottom lash line is thicker than the line you've done on the top. This really drags the eyes down and makes them look really heavy. It also looks really harsh if you have the same thickness and application along the whole of the bottom of the eye. As on this eye I used the kohl pencil and applied it from the outer corner halfway in, and then I just used a smudgy brush just to blend it out, make it look a little bit softer. If you do like your eyeliner underneath the eyes to be quite dark, that's fine. Build it up as you go along and try and make sure that the outer corner is a little bit darker than the inner corner. I'm just quickly going to apply some false lashes. As you can see on this side, I haven't applied the eyelashes in the right place. They're hanging over way too far in the outer corner, whereas on this side they're lined up really neatly and fit the eye perfectly. One little tip if you're using false lashes which you've never used before, if you just measure them up against your eye before you've applied any glue, they do hang over in the outer corners and they're a little bit long. You can just trim them with some nail scissors. Now moving on to lips, and we're going to first line them. So I am a big fan of overdrawing my lips. I do it all the time. The one main makeup don't which I have when it comes to overlining the lips is not to overline this outer corner right here. So if you overline the outer corner of your lips, that's when it becomes really obvious and quite fake looking. Whereas if you come to meet in the outer corners where your lips naturally meet, it gives more of a natural effect and more pouty as well. So now we're on to the final step. Let's apply some lipstick. So on my do side you can see that the lipstick that I've chosen really complements the lip liner. It's just a little bit lighter in tone, so it keeps the definition of the lip liner, whereas on this side I've picked a shade which is way too light and it really washes me out. On my do side everything really blends seamlessly, all the colours really complement each other and my skin looks really evened out. On this side I'm looking really quite ashy, and there's a lot of stuff going on in this cheek area. I've got a lovely foundation line right here, and because there's so much product you can really see the texture of my skin. My pores look absolutely huge. Yeah, I'm not a fan. So that completes my makeup do's and don'ts video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you did like it and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!